Well, salutations, kindred spirits, greetings, and welcome back to another weekly Wednesday magic lesson. And this should prove to be one of value, as today we're going to discuss one of magic's most important gimmicks. And this is not something I generally do on this channel. We prefer to stick to sleight of hand, but this gimmick is too important to skip over. Look what it does. You can poke the handkerchief in, turn it inside out, and you get the clear side. It's the clear side on the back, so it appears to disappear. Snap of the fingers comes right back. So it's basically pretend. You just pretend to poke it in the hand, but it's just pretend. You don't really poke it in there. Need it back, just a snap of the fingers, comes right back. This is the power of the thumb tip, one of magic's secret devices. We'll talk about this thing. We'll talk about some tips, some tricks, extra tricks you can do with it, some advanced techniques, and hey, let's get started now. I suppose before we get into the thick of this, I should mention to the muggles in my audience, if you aren't interested in learning these secret techniques, now is the time to stop the video, pause, scroll. See you later. No hard feelings. Catch you next time. But hey, if you are interested in learning the secrets, maybe a thumbs up on the video, consider a subscribe, and yeah, here we get into the secret. The thumb tip is the subject at hand today. One of magic's most valuable tools. It's a shell designed to look like the tip of your thumb. A note on the thumb tips, these are commercially available from a lot of places. I carry the Vanishes brand at kindred.com. This is the soft version. It's the best one, in my opinion, to fit a wide variety of thumbs. I have had people of color expressed interest in using this technique. Stay tuned. I'm going to show you techniques with this that are invisible. It won't be exposed at all. I've seen masters of this device use silver-plated thumb tips and still manage to fool a room full of magicians. It's a valuable tool for anyone. Size could be an issue. I carry the standard Vanishes. They do have a jumbo size. They have a junior size. And if you Google thumb tip, you'll see there's literally hundreds. Do I have my box of thumb tips here? Through the years, here's just some of the ones that I've bought, and it is worth experimenting to find something of value that fits your finger, your thumb. And a note: it can be used not only on the thumb but also in the finger. There's lots of things you can do with it. We're going to discuss 3 or 4 today. Moving forward, if you do have one of these devices, as I always do, I suggest consulting magic literature to expand your knowledge. A little pamphlet like this costs you a couple dollars, might give you a mystery of the universe. So what we're going to do here is discuss the silk vanish technique, the basic silk handling. Note that if you do buy one of these from kindred.com, you get a 9-inch silk handkerchief, which fits ideally into one of these. We'll discuss how to keep it concealed in a couple of different ways that you can imply the vanish. And then following that, we'll cover some of the production ideas, like with the purse frame, and we'll move on to some of those really deceptive, completely sub rosa techniques that will have you working miracles and impromptu situations. So let's get started now with those lessons. All right, for the basic thumb tip silk vanish, you want to start with this handkerchief clip between your first 2 fingers. The thumb tip is on the thumb. It's just kind of hanging out behind the handkerchief there. You can shake it around. The other hand is gently closed into a fist as the hands come together. This is so you can steal the thumb tip inside the fist. And that happens right as the handkerchief gets poked into the tip. Now, as it gets poked in there, use different fingers. You don't want to just poke with one finger and then all of a sudden jam your thumb in. So alternate your fingers. This is good deception. And then the thumb goes in. Now, generally, I don't advocate the thumb going in last, but for this technique, it works. Here's what we do. The thumb goes in, you get that thumb tip on, and then you pretend to pull the clear side out. So we have this kind of show, which conceals the thumb tip behind the fingertips. We can do this, which conceals it. In general here, you want to keep the thumb tip pointed at your audience's eyes. You try to avoid showing them this or this angle here. If you have people on your left, you can use the other hand to kind of block these angles if you're showing it in this fashion. But in general, if you keep it moving and keep it pointed at their eyes, this is what keeps the thumb tip deceptive. Certainly if you're pretending to hold a clear handkerchief. And I follow this up by pretending to place it on my hand and showing it in this fashion. This is one of the great thumb tip displays with the tip hidden behind the hand. This allows you to kind of pause the action, let them get a good look at the hand. And now you're in a wonderful position to just rotate that hand palm down, and now you can steal the thumb tip off. So from here to here, it just gets stolen right off. I generally snap before I reach inside and then reproduce the handkerchief. Note when I reproduce it before the second vanish, I don't pull it all the way out because this leaves me with a guilty fist. So this is an important note. When I reproduce it, I only pull it part of the way out. If it happens to come out, I put it right back. So you just pull it partially out. And then we'll continue with our presentation. I just say something about, yeah, you just pretend to poke it in. You just pretend to, but you don't really. Now here we're going to talk about a technique that allows you to get the thumb tip on without jamming your thumb in from the top. So what happens with the thumb tip in your hand and as you're poking the handkerchief inside, once it gets all the way inside there, your finger hits the top of the tip, and the idea is to angle it at a right angle out the side of your fist. And this will allow your thumb to sneak in from the backside as your fingers are poking in the top. And this way, the audience never sees the thumb go in. This is an advanced technique that you will want to learn, so practice it. Now, we show the handkerchief has vanished, and this is where I get a little more bold, brushing the fingertips to show it's gone. I now do the one-handed reproduction. I generally will snap to get a little misdirection here as the thumb tip hand bends in. I bend that thumb tip down. Note that as I poke the thumb tip in, I've tried to get a bit of the handkerchief between my thumb and the thumb tip. So I try to leave a little bit at the top, so there's actually a little bit wedged in here, and this is going to make this a lot easier. So I snap, bend in, squeeze with my fingertips, and then my thumb pushes up on that little piece of handkerchief, and this is what gives us the illusion of the handkerchief being reproduced one-handed. That is how I handle the silk vanish. Quick word that I do think this trick is a bit overused. I generally reserve this effect for a family audience, or maybe a young child, and I would suggest you do the same. If you want to use the thumb tip with its most powerful applications, you'll want to do so in an impromptu situation using like salt and money, and we're going to discuss that in 1 minute. One more thing I wanted to talk about was the purse frame production with the silk handkerchief I opened this set with. I started with the handkerchief poked inside. It was on the thumb tip. The purse is presented in this fashion, and this is a nice way to have another object in play. I should note, this was originally printed in a Linking Ring magazine back in the 90s, one of my earlier creative efforts. It also was published in my book. It's called the personal production, and we use this technique here, the same technique as showing the clear side, to display a bagless purse. The idea is you say, yeah, I have a purse without a bag. And now, same idea, when my hand rotates over, I can steal the thumb tip off. You're right in position here. These actions just flow like butter. So yeah, there's no bag, but look, I can still open inside and I keep things in there. So now you just pull the handkerchief out. As you close the purse, the thumb tip goes back on, and now you're ready to continue with your handkerchief vanish or whatever routine you have in mind. So that's a little bonus there, the personal production. And now let's get started with some of the more esoteric ideas that seem like real miracles. This is a deceptive application that opens up a lot of possibilities, and it really makes the use of the thumb tip foolproof. Now, this is a production of money from the bill. We got a handful of dimes here, and we're just using that thumb tip concealed behind the dollar bill in this fashion to either produce and or vanish objects. I'll get into some other advanced preferable options, but for this quickie, all you do is put a bunch of dimes. In my case, I got 10 dimes in there just fine. You hold the bill at your fingertips with the thumb just concealed behind the bill as you show the front and the back. It's not rocket science, it's easy to handle. When you're ready to produce the money, you roll the bill around the thumb tip. So you form a little cone and then pinch, leaving the thumb tip inside the bill there. Don't show that, show this side, and then pour the money out. And that's the money production. To reverse the action, just put your thumb tip in there and open the bill. So we're back where we started, and now you can continue with another effect. Now, some of the best magic happens out in the wild. Say you're at a restaurant eating dinner with some friends. Pick up the salt shaker off the table and do this. Pour the salt into a dollar bill. Of course, you've placed that trap door inside the bill, which keeps the salt hidden. It appears to disappear. You need that salt back, not a problem, just a little hocus pocus. It comes right back. And a trick like this with a little advanced technique, this is something that people will definitely remember. So continuing with the concept of hiding the thumb tip behind and or within a bill, we can use this to vanish items as well as produce them. And also note that the thumb tip continues to stay completely hidden behind the bill. So this thing is 100% deceptive in this fashion. Note this is great also for a sugar packet. It's the perfect amount. If you're going to use salt, be sure to experiment. You'll want to know how much salt you can fit into your thumb tip before you make it disappear. And note that when I make this disappear in the real world, I do like this. And the salt has vanished. And what I want to do here is imply to my audience that perhaps I've spilled the salt or I've cast it on the floor. This makes the vanish a little less impressive. But when I go to do the reproduction, and this is once again just rolling the bill around the thumb tip, leaving the tip inside. Now this moment where the salt streams out of the thumb tip becomes super impressive because they think it's been all over the floor. And this technique is well worth your attention, the salt vanish. All right, we'll close here with an original item. This is my thumb through the... Okay, this needs some work. This has not got all the details ironed out. If you want to try this, just jam a thumb tip in your ear. Don't try this at home, kids, all right? Try it at school. I'm not a role model. Keep that hidden, show your thumb, bend it in like you need the details here. Act goofy and then just pretend to put it back on there. Work out the details. I guess kind of what I'm advocating here is explore your creative realm. Maybe do yourself a favor, pick up some literature on the subject. You could learn dozens of possibilities. Here's one more. Here's just a quick idea. You take a t-shirt and it looks like you jam your thumb right through it. Do it with your friend's shirt if that's politically or socially correct in your environment, and that's just jamming the thumb tip through the t-shirt. All kinds of ideas are possible. I hope I've inspired you to pursue some of these ideas and maybe do some creating on your own. And with that knowledge, with that statement, our lesson is done today. I thank you for your time, your energy, your attention. Truly a blessing in my universe, and that's going to be a wrap. I'll see you on the next one. Ciao for now.